What's up YouTube? Welcome to Astro Sean, and in this video I'm going to be teaching you how to honor your Venus. So Venus deals with our values, our approach to relationships, how we relate to others, our self-worth, our attitudes, our aesthetics, and our vanity. So you want not your Neptune, you want your Venus to always be in a positive aspect with the other. When you're talking about synastry, which is just putting your chart and someone else's chart together, you want your Venus to be forming a harmonious aspect with the other person's planet. So in particular their moon, their Venus, their Jupiter, and their north node. And also you can also throw in the descendant. You want your Venus to be forming it. Did I book when I said that? I also want Venus to be. You also want Venus to be forming a aspect such as a trine, a sextile, or a conjunction, because that can denote where you really relate to that person in that particular area. If your Venus or your partner's Venus is forming a hard aspect such as a square or opposition, then that may denote that you two have a hard time relating to each other. There's just a difference of values, and there just isn't that harmonious, romantic nature that's involved. So I'm going to go over all 12 signs and their Venus placements to show their basic incompatibility nature and what they're compatible with, as well as a basic overview of the general overtones or attitudes about that placement. So as usual, I'm going to go on the natural progression of the zodiac by starting with Aries. Aries is a fire cardinal masculine sign, so it's all about projection and it's all about putting energy out, which is why they need a partner that can give them that thrill and is down for action. You dislike, if you have your Venus in Aries, you dislike stagnancy, which is why Taurus and Capricorn may be more of a challenge for you, because they are more about taking their time and you may find them too boring and too slow. You mesh easier with fellow fire signs such as Leo and Sag, as well as the air signs Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini, because they are more likely to be down for the ride. You may find a challenge with Cancer because you may find them too sensitive and whiny, and they can impede on your freedom, with their clingy nature. Virgos can be too cynical and critical for you, so you want to find somebody who has a nice amount of fire and air energy, because that's going to really show how you two can really relate to each other in that area. So next we have Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus, so the need for stability and comfort is even higher. Tauruses really need to relate with you in terms of their values in order to build that strong foundation. They emphasize the five senses, so they like to enjoy life, take it slow, earn money, eat their food, and they like things that are pleasant, such as art, music, and food, which is why they will have a special connection with signs like Pisces, Capricorns, and Cancer, because Cancer and Taurus can relate with food and stability. Taurus and Capricorn can relate to wanting to take things slow and wanting to build something tangible, and Pisces is just that natural artistic sign, and the two of you may be music heads or play an instrument or work in a band or something, I don't know. You may find Aries too brash, Libras are too indecisive for you, and Aquarius are too rebellious, and there may be an extreme difference between your values and theirs. You tend to be more of a conformist. Aquarius tends to be more of a non-conformist in certain respects. Sagittarius may just be too out there and not ready to settle down. And Scorpio can make a solid match because these two are polar opposites. However, the issue of sharing comes up because Scorpio is about sharing your partner and Taurus does not like to share. So also they both may be stubborn. You can throw Leo in that as well. Leo and Taurus, they just be too stubborn. They may always be butting heads, and the Leo may try and be more domineering over the situation, while Taurus may, for the sake of peace, submit or let things be, but then there'll come a time when you can no longer take it, and you may just turn into a raging bull in a china shop on them, and that can just not be a good situation. Um, Next is Gemini. Gemini is the sign of communication and verbal exchange, as it is ruled by Mercury. You need room to think and express yourself without being or feeling suffocated. For this reason, Aquarius and Libra will make a good match for you due to the light and airy nature. You two have a similarity in terms of your intellect, and you think alike. And thinking is very big for air signs. Scorpio and Gemini have this strange yet enigmatic attraction to each other, even though they form what's known as a quincunx in astrology. So that just means that within their relationship, there will be a need for a lot of adjustments to be made, as you two have a hard time relating to each other on certain things. Pisces can be too sensitive and in the clouds for you. You have a sharp tongue, and so you may just, you know, be shooting poor little Pisces down. Sagittarius offers you an opposing point of view, which may work because Gemini is about ideas and about a lot of the little things, and Sagittarius is about seeing the big picture, so you can kind of have that polarity with each other. Next we have Cancer. So Venus in Cancer produces a highly sensitive and emotional nature, and you really want to emotionally bond with your partner, and you really want to tune in to their needs. So when you have Venus in Cancer, it is of the utmost importance for you to have that emotional connection, which is why the fellow water signs such as Scorpio and Pisces would be a good match for you. You tend to gel well together. You cling to your partner just like a crab does, which will promote issues with signs like Sagittarius and Aquarius, because they both require much freedom and will not tolerate being tied down at all. They also are not highly emotionally expressive. It doesn't mean they're unemotional, but they're just not emotionally expressive, and they may not want to come out and just share their emotions with you all the time. And you kind of need that. You may find Libras to be too dispassionate and flirtatious. You know, Cancer is about loyalty, and Libras are they can be on the fence, so they may not necessarily take your side in a situation in which you are emotionally invested in, where you feel like they should take your side, but they're not taking your side. So there can be a clash, which is why these signs form what is known as a square in astrology. Aries can be too brash and independent for you. Capricorn will make a good match. Even though these two are opposing signs, they both crave security. However, Capricorn is just less emotional about it, so you can have that balance, you know. Next, we have Venus and Leo. The key word for Venus and Leo is attention. Okay, attention. Leos like attention. They like a lot of it. If they don't get it, they will go about getting it in the most just gregarious, obnoxious way. So you, as a Venus in Leo, or someone who has a lot of personal planets in Leo, you need that attention, you need that affection, and you need that admiration, which is why fellow fire signs such as Sagittarius and Leo and Sagittarius and Aries will be a good match for you, because they tend to be just as boastful as you are, and you know, you just may have an ease in kind of expressing that energy in it. Since you're a fixed fire sign, and if you get with another fire sign who may be mutable, then you can have that balance, because you may be the more rigid and fixed partner, and they may be the more spontaneous one. However, there still exists this level of fiery impulsivity going on. Because of your domineering nature, you will have conflict with Taurus and Scorpio. With Scorpio in particular, there will be issues surrounding ego, dominance, jealousy, and competition. Virgos can be a challenge due to their critical and verbose nature. Virgo speaks their mind, and Leos like their ego to be flexed. They like for their ego to be stroked. And Virgo will be shooting you down and pointing out all your flaws, and that can just point to a highly volatile relationship. So next is Virgo. So I know Virgos, y'all probably feel like I've been frying y'all up, but it makes sense. Venus is in its fall in Virgo. It does not typically do well in the sign of Virgo. That doesn't mean that you won't find love or that you won't, be able to have that, marriage or whatever that you want. However, it is going to be more difficult because you have to learn to not be so critical about picking your partners and the people around you apart. People do not like that, especially in relationships. They do not want to feel uncomfortable when they come home and it's like, what do you have to say now? What do you have to take apart about me now? When Virgos tend to really hone in on your true insecurities, and we'll do that. And you really are not trying to be nasty most times. You just are the sign of being a perfectionist, and you like for things to be perfect, and you may see this as helping your partner. So help will be a key word for Venus and Virgo. You may meet your partner through your line of work or through some type of service. You appreciate everyday tasks and chores. The little things is what matter to you, and you like somebody who kind of keeps it together, like they're not just a loose cannon all over the place, which is why you may not mesh well with Sagittarius. They may be too for you. You may not mesh well with Aquarius because there's just two totally different types of energies going on here. You may not mesh well with Pisces because, again, with that sharp tongue, you may be they may just find you cruel. However, you do tend to do well with signs like Taurus and Capricorn because those are your fellow earth signs. So you two can have that stable, long-lasting relationship. Even if it's on and off, you may always be able to call on them, but they may be always able to call on you. Cancer and Scorpio also is a good match for you as well. And so Venus and Virgo, just try not to be so critical, and understand that because Venus rules values and self-esteem, and Virgo is a very humble sign, you may have a little self-esteem, and you may attract partners who may take advantage of that, or you may attract partners who they themselves have issues with self-esteem. So moving on to Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus and Libra is a strong placement, so you are relationship oriented. You really want your other half. In fact, you may not feel complete unless you have your other half. So partners like Gemini and Aquarius would be good because there's that intellectual back and forth, and you may be able to relate a lot with them. Leo, Aries, and Sagittarius are also a good match for you as well. You may find issues with Cancer because you like to remain rational and dispassionate in your judgment, and you may find that Cancer's emotions will try to sway you too heavily in one direction. Capricorn may be too serious and boorish for you, and they may just have a no-nonsense type of persona which you take issue with. And Taurus, you guys are both ruled by Venus, but there's just a difference in the way that this is expressed. Taurus is more of the feminine expression. Libra is the masculine expression. So the way you go about your values are just very different, and Taurus just may not be with that sitting on the fence. Taurus likes a sure thing, okay? Next is Scorpio. Venus is quite uncomfortable in Scorpio. It is in its detriment, and that is because Scorpio is a deep, intense sign that likes to go beyond the surface and delve deep. And Venus is not down for that always. Venus is kind of like, I just like to look at art, listen to music, and make money and live lavishly. But Scorpio has a need to go deep, which is why the fellow water signs can keep up with your emotional depth, so that would be a good match for you as well. Also, Virgo and Capricorn would be a great match because they will add the stability to those profound emotions. Aquarius and Libra can be challenging because Aquarius isn't about going deep in the emotions. They're more thinkers. They don't like to or communicators as well. They don't really like to have their emotions all convoluted or all intertwined and stuff. You may find Leo to be too arrogant and competitive. Aries, they also are not that, no diss to Aries, but it's not that deep of a sign. They can be quite simple. They're the first sign. They're represented by Mars. They're about a toddler. I think they're just like very simple. They're not that complex, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you require something a bit more dynamic. So moving on. So now Moving on to Sagittarius. I like this placement. Sagittarius produces an adventurous, optimistic, and philosophical lover. You mesh well with partners who can think big and who are not mundane, which is why Virgo is a challenge for you. However, signs such as Aquarius, Leo, Aries, they may be able to get with you in terms of your high philosophies and traveling and higher education. And you can be wild and unpredictable and over the top, and they can also be that way in some respects, but you definitely take the cake. Again, you won't tolerate Virgo's constant nitpicking, and you are too harsh and aggressive for Pisces. And with Cancer, Cancer likes, it's very domesticated, and Sagittarius is about going out and traveling and seeing things different. So there can be that kind of dichotomy. Moving on with Capricorn. Venus in Capricorn is a strong placement because you take relationships very serious, perhaps too serious, and you desire a competent, mature, and grounded partner. So it is about age with Capricorn. However, more importantly, it's about maturity, because age does not always come with maturity. So Capricorns, you do well with somebody who you can build a lasting foundation with. So this may be your fellow earth signs like Taurus and Virgo. You may clash with Aries because they're too impulsive and brash. Sagittarius is not grounded or serious enough for you. You may want a certain commitment, and Sag is not very commitment oriented. Not saying that for all, but just in general as a sign. Leo's excessive ego would make you uncomfortable because you're not the type to stroke anyone's ego. And Libras are too insincere and superficial, and you find them vain. You vibe better with Taurus, who are just as grounded as you are, Virgos who can help you build, as well as Scorpio and Pisces. Next is Aquarius. So Aquarius, the approach to relationships when Venus is in Aquarius is much more unique, unconventional, and alternative. This is the non-conformist Venus. This is the Venus where if everybody's going this way, Venus in Aquarius is going to go the other way. You prefer to be friends first without emotions being all involved, so you can really get to know this person without your emotions clouding your judgment. And for this reason, fire and air signs are more your speed. This is also a group-oriented Venus, which means you love socializing and mixing it up, even though you do have a loner streak. But this can be challenging for some water and earth signs, as they may not be as outgoing. Taurus may try and tell you what to do, and you won't tolerate that at all. Scorpio can be too jealous and possessive for your nature, and there may be issues with just their emotional intensity versus your need to try to mentally dominate. And Scorpio doesn't like to be dominated and will not tolerate being dominated. And Aquarius does not like to be will not be emotionally manipulated. Let's see. And Cancer may just find you too cold. Again, the lack of emotional expression. Doesn't mean Aquarius doesn't have emotions. They do. I've known quite a few Aquarians that have an emotional nature, but they do not lead with their emotions. Just like the water bearer, the water represents emotions. They keep their emotions intact, and they're ruled by Saturn. So Saturn is a no-nonsense planet, and Saturn also doesn't get its feelings all mixed in with things. And finally, we have Pisces. So Venus is exalted here, which means that romance flows. You are devoted, and you must learn to be more practical within your love life and not view people as just mystical beings. And then when you realize they're human, you're like, they're boring, and you kind of lose interest. You also don't want to be overly sacrificial in relationships, which will be the case if you get with someone who is more dominant, much more dominant than you, such as a Sagittarius or a Leo. You may have to make too many sacrifices. Fellow water signs dive into the emotional pool with you, and this can be good or bad depending on what emotional waters it is. And again, there's a special connection with Taurus due to the art and musical component. Scorpio, there's a deep understanding of each other, and there may be that spiritual, psychic, and intuitive connection. So all in all, this is my video about how to honor your Venus. You want to make sure that whatever Venus that you have, that you're honoring the traits that you have. So if your Venus likes to go out and explore it may not be the wisest thing to do to get with someone who has a preponderance of energy in a sign that is more domesticated and does not like being kind of outside like that. And not saying opposites can attract, but sometimes you do need to have that common ground. You must take the entire natal chart into consideration. So let's say you have a beautiful aspect. Your Venus is forming a nice aspect to someone else's planet, but you could have Chiron there that's kind of throwing that energy off. So honor your Venus by respecting your values as well as those of others. And if you like what I said in this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And for a personal reading, please email me in the description down below. Until then, next time.